If you've never had canned venison, you're missing out. This stuff is tender, it's juicy, it's delicious. You can have cooked meat in your pantry anytime you need it. If you want to have stroganoff or soup and you don't feel like waiting for the meat to cook, you can have canned venison all ready to go. This stuff is good for fishing, for camping. You can eat it right out of the jar. It makes its own gravy. Try this. Next time you go ice fishing, take some canned venison along for shore lunch. Build a fire or take a little Coleman stove or something like that and heat up a jar of venison, shred it up, add some barbecue sauce, put it on buns. Delicious. It's real easy. I'm not going to go through all the details about the canner, how to use it, because even though they're all similar, they're not all identical. And if you have a canner, then you know how to use it, and I don't have to tell you how to use your canner. But I'm using pint jars. These are wide mouth pint jars. I've already washed them in hot water, and I like to let some hot water sit in the jars after I've washed them and rinsed them. I let some hot water sit in the jars for a little while, and then I dump it out and kind of dry them off right before I pack them, just to help sterilize them some more. Now, you can use any cut of venison to can. I prefer to use tougher cuts, you know, like a lower round or a bottom round, something that has to cook all day, and they make good roast, but those are the best cuts for canning because, like I said before, it just makes it real tender. What I'm using today is shank. Now shank, if you don't know this, you know, if you're new to deer processing and eating venison, it's full of sinew. And you can kind of see right here, it's just full of this sinew. You can't cut all that out. And you don't want to cut all of that out, because if you let that slow cook all day long, it'll break down and it adds so much flavor to that venison. Plus, it just gets like this soft, buttery texture, and it's delicious. This right here is probably the best stew meat on the whole deer. But because of that sinew that's in there, you do have to slow cook it all day. But if you pressure can it, it'll break it down just like that. It'll be just like you cooked it all day. So that's what I'm using. I have my jars ready. These are wide mouth pint jars, as I said. And the only thing that I'm using as far as seasonings is some kosher salt and black pepper. That's it. Got my lids heated up and I'm all ready to go. I'm going to pack these and then we're going to get them in the canner. And when you pack these, you want to pack them to about an inch from the top, leave some headroom. And you also want to kind of push down on them and get some of those air pockets out. You're not going to get all of them out, but get as much of that air out as you can. That right there looks good. All right, now we're just going to add some kosher salt. And I don't measure this. I just kind of eyeball it. And I guess it's about I don't think it's a full tablespoon. Same with the pepper, just regular black pepper. You can never have too much pepper, no matter what you're eating. Before you put your lids on, be sure and wipe the top of your jars, because you don't want any meat or any of those spices to get in between the top of that jar and your lid, because then it won't seal. Heated up my lids to soften up the seal a little bit. Now I'm going to put the rings on. I'm not going to tighten these down real tight. I just kind of get them hand tight and then snug them up a little bit. That's all there is to it, and now they're ready for the canner. Every pressure canner has one of these trays. Keeps the cans up off the bottom of the pot. And like I said earlier, not all canners are the same. Mine you have to put 3 quarts of water in it no matter what you're canning. No matter how many jars, no matter what size, it always takes 3 quarts of water. Here's a little tip. Put a couple tablespoons of white vinegar in here, and that will keep your jars from getting cloudy if you have hard water. And we do have hard water here. We're going to put our jars in. Now we're going to get our lid on. This lid has a pressure gauge on top of it. I don't like this. It's really hard to regulate. I would rather it just have the different size regulators, but it has this gauge and you have to really keep a close eye on it. But we're going to get our lid on. We've already made sure that our seal is in good shape and that our vent is clear. And what you're going to do is you're going to heat this up, and whenever you start getting a steady flow of steam from the vent, once it's a steady flow, take a look at your clock, let it go for about 10 minutes. You want 10 minutes of steady steam. Then put your regulator on. When you put your regulator on, this, if you have this type with the gauge, when you put the regulator on, that's when the pressure will start building up. Your little indicator will pop up back here, and then this will start building pressure. If you have one of the other types where you just use the regulator, then you have to wait until it starts jiggling a little bit. Once this seals and you start building pressure and you get to the pressure you want, which is 10 to 15 pounds, when you reach that pressure, that's when you start timing. 75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts. So we're going to get the heat going. We're going to have a steady flow of steam. Let that go for about 10 minutes. We're going to put this regulator on. This valve is going to pop up, and then whenever we reach about 10 pounds of pressure, we're going to adjust our heat to try to keep it there, and we're going to start timing 75 minutes. All right, we had steady steam. We put on our regulator. Our indicator popped up. That means that there's pressure inside the canner. Now we're watching the gauge, and as soon as it gets to 10 pounds, then we're going to start our time. Remember, 75 minutes for pints, 90 for quarts. When this is done, when it's been 75 minutes, we're going to turn the heat off. We're just going to let it cool down by itself. That indicator will drop whenever it's cooled down and the pressure is out. And when that indicator drops, then you can open it up, take your jars out, put them on a towel, cover them up with another towel, and just let them sit until they seal. You'll hear them. If you've never done this before and you don't know what to listen for, you'll hear a popping noise. And they might do it within, half an hour or so. They might take a little bit longer, but as they cool down, they seal, and those lids will pop as the pressure creates like a vacuum in there. And if you have one that doesn't seal, don't worry about it. It's still cooked, it's still good. You just need to eat it within the next day or so. If you're lucky, you'll have one that doesn't, and you'll be eating venison tonight. You're gonna look at that. All right. Remember, next time you go ice fishing, take some for shore lunch, heat it up, shred it up, add some barbecue. Oh, did you hear that? One of them popped. I don't know if you heard that or not, but one of them popped already. Let's see if we can. Oh, it's that one right there. See, these, they haven't popped yet. That one right there just popped. But take some ice fishing for shore lunch, heat it up, shred it up, put some barbecue sauce on it, take some buns, some chips, ice cold RC, doesn't get any better. Try it out.